Three hot brands, three hot phones in the 30,000 rupee price category. We've got the Samsung Galaxy A56, OnePlus Nord 5 and the iQOO Neo 10. All the three phones aim to give you a flagship-like experience at a mid-range price point, but the real question to ask is, which one should you actually buy? So that's exactly how I'm going to help you in this video. If you're watching me for the first time, I'm Arshad. This is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now let's start with the design and the build of these phones, and Samsung has this classic minimalistic approach. You get glass on the back, glass on the front with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus protection and a metal frame as well. But more importantly, with the Samsung Galaxy A56, what you get is IP67 rating, which makes it definitely more water and dust resistant than the other two phones, the OnePlus Nord 5 and the iQOO Neo 10, both of which only give you IP65. Now in comparison, the iQOO Neo 10 sticks to a completely plastic build with a short sensation alpha glass protection on top of the display. It's functional, it's lightweight, but it doesn't feel very premium. Also, one thing that we noticed is that it is a little top heavy. The Nord 5 is like a good balance between the two, with a glass back, glass front and a plastic frame too. Of course, of all the three phones, it's slightly heavier and slightly wider, but the weight distribution has been done really well. Plus, I really like this marble sands color too. By the way, with the Nord 5, what you get is a Corning Gorilla Glass 7i on top of the display. In terms of ports and buttons, it's largely similar with like a power button, a volume rocker, and of course, a USB Type-C 2.0 port, which is like become standard nowadays. But OnePlus does have an advantage with the Plus key, which integrates directly to the Mind Space feature. Now, if you want to switch, you can actually switch it to other functions as well. Now, there is one more functional advantage with the iQOO Neo 10 and the Nord 5, and that is the fact that both of these phones give you an IR blaster, which the Galaxy A56 lacks. So of these three, the phone that has the most premium build quality has to be the Samsung Galaxy A56. Now with the iQOO, what you get is a completely plastic build, so it doesn't feel very premium. And the OnePlus is like a good balance between the two. It's also functionally better than these two phones. Next up, let's compare the display and the multimedia experience on these phones. So the Galaxy A56 has a 6.7-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh rate and 1200 nits of HBM brightness. The iQOO Neo 10 dominates on paper with a 6.78-inch 1.5K AMOLED display, 144Hz refresh rate, 2000 nits in HBM mode, and a crazy 5500 nits peak brightness for HDR. And the Nord 5 sits somewhere in between with a large 6.83-inch 1.5K AMOLED panel at 144Hz. Of course, 144Hz only works with certain games, and the system UI runs at 120Hz. As for the HBM brightness, you get 1400 nits, and the peak brightness is 1800 nits in HDR. Now, the raw specs don't tell the full story, so we did some comparisons, and what we noticed is that the color accuracy is the best on Samsung's display, followed by the Nord 5 and then the iQOO Neo 10, which is a little too punchy. But as far as HDR gradation goes, with the perfect amount of control over the highlights and the shadows, especially when you're watching YouTube content, the Nord 5 comes out on top. And in HDR gradation, Samsung comes in second and iQOO trails in third. Technically, iQOO is the brightest of the three when you take it outdoors, but between the iQOO and the Nord, we don't see too much of a difference, but still, iQOO wins in terms of outdoor brightness and legibility. So overall, if you look at it, I think that the Nord 5 strikes like a nice balance between all the three. I like the iQOO's display as well. Samsung's color accuracy is good, but the brightness is a little lacking. Now, all the three phones have stereo speakers, but the Nord 5 is the loudest and the richest sounding of the three. Don't believe me, just take a listen to it for yourself and let me know what you guys think. As for LHDC and LDAC support, all the three phones offer support for LHDC and LDAC. So overall, when it comes to display and multimedia experience, I think the Nord 5 strikes the right balance between really good display quality and of course a fantastic speaker quality as well, along with all the high-res Bluetooth codecs that you could ask for. With the Samsung and iQOO, there are flaws on either side. For example, the iQOO's speaker quality could have been better, and Samsung's HDR gradation and brightness could have been better. Now let's talk about the performance, and it goes without saying that the iQOO Neo 10 has the best specs on paper, followed by the OnePlus Nord 5 and then the Samsung Galaxy A56. So evidently, in Antutu, the iQOO Neo 10 absolutely dominates with a score of 2.12 million. The Nord 5 follows and the Galaxy A56 trails both the phones. This is also true in our Geekbench run. iQOO dominates once again, followed by OnePlus and then Samsung. Now when you take a look at the CPU throttle test, Samsung offers the best stability, which is very, very interesting, followed by iQOO and then OnePlus. However, with the 3D Mark wireless stress test, the iQOO Neo 10 once again pulls the highest loop score of 17,555, but the stability is just 46.5%, which means that it does throttle performance of the GPU. The Nord 5 scores lower than the iQOO Neo 10 in terms of the loop score, but it has a much better GPU stability. The Galaxy A56 has the best GPU stability of the three, but the performance is nowhere close to the other two phones, so it's not really comparable. Now finally, in our real-world Genshin Impact test, the Neo 10 is the smoothest with the 59.8 average FPS that we got at 40.3 degrees Celsius. Nord 5 is close at 57.8 FPS, which is also very good with 40.6 degree temperatures that it reached. And finally, the Galaxy A56 falls behind at 47 FPS but stays the coolest at 38.6 degrees. While Samsung's Exynos processor might not have the best performance, at least it's not throttling too much and it's not getting hot, so that's good. So iQOO does tend to throttle the GPU performance is what we noticed, but still the performance is good. It is the best performer of the three, and OnePlus is like a good balance between the three. So here's the verdict. If you want maximum power and the best gaming experience, then the iQOO Neo 10 would be the choice for you because it's got more headroom for performance, right? But if you want a more stable performance in gaming, at least in the multiple tests that we've run with the Nord 5 until now, I feel like the Nord 5 actually does a pretty good job. And for the Galaxy A56, I'm also surprised with Samsung here because I expected it to heat up and throttle, but it doesn't. So good job there. But yeah, you don't have the performance throughput. Alright, now talking about the batteries, the Samsung Galaxy A56 comes with a 5000 mAh unit, and in our testing, it gave us 5 hours and 34 minutes of screen on time, which is not good at all. And the charging is also on the slower side. With a 45-watt charger, it took us 68 minutes to charge the battery from 0 to 100%. The iQOO Neo 10 is a monster in terms of battery life because what you get is a 7000 mAh silicon carbon battery inside, and we are consistently tracking 10 to 12 hours of screen on time. And a lot of people are also saying that in their experience, iQOO Neo 10's battery life has been fantastic. And thanks to that 120-watt charging speeds, it just takes 35 minutes to go from 0 to 100%. Again, OnePlus is like a good balance between the two. You get a 6800 mAh battery, and the battery life is hovering between 9 to 10 hours of screen on time, which is very close to the iQOO Neo 10, by the way. And with the 80-watt charger, it takes about 50 to 53 minutes for a full charge. In terms of network capabilities, you get umpteen number of 5G bands on all the three phones, so Airtel and Jio will work just fine. You also get Wi-Fi 6 on all the three, but you only get Bluetooth 5.4 on OnePlus and iQOO, whereas Samsung, you get Bluetooth 5.3. Other than that, NFC for tap payments is there on all the three, but Samsung's Samsung Wallet is going to make that NFC experience even better. That is one of the reasons why a lot of people would probably be siding with the Samsung Galaxy A56. Now let's talk about the cameras. Again, I'm not going to talk about the specs. You can take a look at the difference in specs on the screen in front of you right now. Let's jump down to the pictures because that is what matters, right, at the end of the day. So with the primary camera, in terms of details, the Nord 5 captures the most, followed by the Galaxy A56, and the iQOO Neo 10 comes in last year, mainly due to its smaller sensor size and more contrast-heavy processing. This is also true at 2x. Details are more on the Nord 5, followed by the iQOO and Samsung this time. Now talking about colors, iQOO does shoot almost true-to-life colors, followed by OnePlus, which is slightly boosted, and Samsung, which is very punchy, and of course, social media ready. Now one area where I like the iQOO is definitely in the skin tones because it does the most closest to neutral skin tones, followed by Samsung and OnePlus together because both actually don't get it right. Now while shooting HDR images, again, iQOO nails it, whether it's the primary, the ultra-wide, or the selfie. iQOO shoots the best HDR images, followed by the Nord 5 and the Galaxy A56. But the portraits is a different ballgame altogether because OnePlus shoots the best portraits among the three, followed by iQOO and Samsung. The portrait is so good that on OnePlus, you can clearly see that even a single strand of hair has been separated from the background. OnePlus has done a really good job with the camera algorithm this time around. Now low light with the primary lens is where Samsung takes the lead because it has the best details and it is also the brightest exposure if you look at it, followed by OnePlus and then iQOO. Now you'll notice that the iQOO is actually bright, but the details at 100% crop are not there. OnePlus is definitely not as soft as iQOO. iQOO softer. Now talking about the ultra-wide angle camera, and here Samsung without any doubt is better than the other two because of its 12 megapixel sensor. But comparing the other two, which is basically OnePlus and iQOO, it's more or less the same because it's the same 8 megapixel sensor on both the phones. Now if you want color sense consistency between all the lenses, then none of these phones will actually be good for you, honestly. To a certain extent, maybe Samsung does a decent job, but it also falters somehow. Low light using the ultrawide again is best on Samsung because it's got a larger sensor, and the other two, I mean, there's not too much of a difference. I think that both are almost pretty much the same. Now, one good thing about Samsung is that you do also get a dedicated 5 megapixel macro camera, so it can shoot macro photos which the other two just cannot. Now, selfies are the best on OnePlus thanks to the 50 megapixel GN5 sensor, followed by iQOO, which is the second best, and it trails Samsung. That's also true for the selfie portraits and low light as well. OnePlus just leads. Now talking about video, both OnePlus and iQOO can shoot videos using the primary and selfie camera at 4K 60 FPS, where Samsung tops out at 4K 30 FPS. But where Samsung pulls ahead is in ultrawide, because with ultrawide you can do 4K 30 FPS, which is not possible on OnePlus and iQOO, which top out at 1080p 30 FPS. So while shooting shooting with the primary lens, OnePlus is the best with slightly better details and better stabilization, followed by iQOO and then Samsung. But iQOO has a slightly better audio quality compared to OnePlus is what we noticed.
So this video is shot using the OnePlus Nord 5, the iQOO Neo 10 and the Samsung Galaxy A56's primary camera. All of them can shoot at 4K 60 FPS.
With selfies again, OnePlus shoots the best videos followed by iQOO and Samsung, and in low light, OnePlus shoots the best videos followed by iQOO and Samsung. So overall, if you look at it, all the three are actually pretty good in terms of camera performance, but the most reliable one of the three and the one that actually gives us consistently good results has been the OnePlus Nord 5, which is very surprising to me. Alright, now let's talk about the software and the updates. So Samsung here actually runs on One UI 7 based on Android 15, and it takes the lead in terms of software update promise because what Samsung is promising is 6 years of updates and 6 years of security updates, OS updates and security updates. And honestly, One UI has been one of my favorite software experiences. First of all, you get a very modern experience with the UI and UX, but more importantly, you do get a ton of customization options, including good lock, which I cannot live without. Now, the Nord 5 has Oxygen OS 15 based on Android 15, and OnePlus is promising 4 plus 6 years of updates, which is also pretty good. Now, compared to One UI, Oxygen OS is definitely better in terms of overall sheer smooth experience, which is actually the best of the three, by the way. Panel animations are fantastic. It feels very fluid, and you also get modern UX elements like live activities and Flux themes, all of which look fantastic. On top of that, there is a full suite of AI features: AI Call Assistant, AI Eraser, AI Reflection Remover, AI Recomposer. All of these are pretty good in day-to-day usability. Now, you must be wondering, Aisha, you didn't talk about Galaxy AI on the A56 because there is no Galaxy AI. It's actually got awesome intelligence. With that, what you get is Circle to Search and Gemini support, which is of course available on all the three phones. But there are a few Galaxy AI features, for example, like Object Eraser and stuff like that. As for the iQOO Neo 10, what you have is FunTouchOS 15 based on Android 15 with 3 plus 4 years of updates. And I don't have to say it again and again, and because it feels really bad, because FunTouch definitely needs a lot of work to come to the kind of premium experience, software experience that you get with Samsung and OnePlus. By the way, in terms of if you're wondering which is the cleanest and lightest install of the three, then surprisingly, OnePlus and iQOO actually have fewer third-party apps pre-installed compared to Samsung, which has a few more apps out of the box. So overall, Samsung and OnePlus are tied in terms of the best software experience, and iQOO would be my least favorite one. So we have a theme here, if you must have noticed, is if you had to look at these three phones, you've got Samsung's durability, iQOO's raw power, and OnePlus's balance. So of these three, which one should you pick? So see, with Samsung, while the phone is good and I don't necessarily have too many problems with it, but it lacks in almost every aspect in some way or the other compared to the other two. iQOO, on the other hand, is a very powerful phone with great battery life as well. So anybody looking for pure raw performance for gaming, I would easily suggest the iQOO Neo 10, and the camera performance is pretty good too. In fact, we did like a long-term review of the iQOO Neo 10. If you haven't watched that yet, it should pop up right now in a card here. Go check it out. But my overall pick continues to be the OnePlus Nord 5. It's an underrated phone if you ask me, and I've felt that all throughout the time of using this phone. I know that it's gotten a lot of flack for not having a lot of features that you've come to expect from it, but the experience with that phone has been pretty reliable, because whether you look at the performance, the battery life, the display quality, or the camera, or the software experience, everything comes together really well, and there are no compromises as such that I noticed that stand out to me. And if you're worried about the green line issue, that is a legitimate concern, but thankfully OnePlus has said that they're gonna give like a free lifetime replacement warranty if that happens on your Nord 5 when you buy it. So yeah, for me, the most bang for buck phone in the 30,000 rupee price category would be the Nord 5. Which one would it be for you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.